everybody, welcome to part 4 of the 26th story, Treehouse. Chapter 5, Terry's Story. Back in the kitchen, our automatic marshmallow machine senses how hungry we are and begins firing marshmallow into our mouths. So, says Terry, through a mouthful of marshmallows. What story were you telling the readers when I interrupted you? I was telling them the story of how we met, I say. Oh, I love that story, says Terry. We were both lost in the forest, and then we met and found that house made of gingerbread. And we started eating it, and a nice old lady came out and called us in. Hello, boys. Yum. And then she put you in a cage to fatten you up so she could eat you. Which, come to think of it, really was a nice thing for a nice old lady to do. So I pushed her into the oven, which, come to think of it, but very nice thing for me to do. But Terry, I say, that's not the story of how we met. That's Hansel and Gretel. It's a fairy tale. Remember how I told you that Terry can be a bit annoying at times? Well, this is one of those times. Terry frowns and looks confused. Oh yeah, my mistake, he says. I remember now. I was taking some food to my sick grandmother, and I met you in the woods. You have big eyes, big teeth. Ah! And you were covered in fur in those days. Later, you used to dress up in my grandmother's clothes. I never really understood why you did that. I didn't do that, I said. That's not how we met either. That's Little Red Riding Hood. Terry strikes his head. It is? Of course. Sorry, Andy. How could I be so dumb? Hang on, I got it. There was a castle. We met at the ball and danced. But when the clock struck 12, you went running off and lost your glass slipper. I looked everywhere for you. I searched the kingdom far and wide, but... Terry! I yelled. You're not even close! That's Cinderella! Terry shrugged. Then I give up. I got no idea how we met. Well, I said, if you promise to be quiet for the next 21 pages, I'll tell you. Okay, I'll promise. I promise. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a very big city. And in that very big city, there was a very tall tower. And at the top of that very tall tower, there was an apartment. The little boy was very lonely because he didn't have any friends. And the reason he didn't have any friends was because his parents thought friends were too dangerous. In fact, they thought everything was too dangerous. They never even let the little boy out of the apartment. It's for your own good, darling. He lived in a padded room, sleep in a padded non-foldable bed, and sat in a padded non-foldable chair which, for extra safely, was filled with airbags and seat belt. He wasn't allowed to watch TV. It's not good for your eyes, darling. He wasn't allowed to play on the computer. Too much electromagnetic radiation, darling. And he wasn't allowed to play with toys or any sort of game. Too much risk or excitement, darling. And he had to amuse himself with books with rounded corners, and his parents had selected for him. These books contained no harmless ideas, no character doing dangerous things, nor any stories involving dangerous or potentially dangerous situations, which mean they all didn't contain much of anything at all, really. They read nothing. The little boy couldn't even eat proper food. His parents mashed and pureed all his food to make sure he didn't choke and served it cold to make sure he didn't burn himself. That is, until one day, when his parents decided that even cold mashed up food posed too much of a risk, so they put the little boy on an IV drip instead. And as if all wasn't enough, his parents also filled the apartment with every type of safety alarm possible. They had fire alarms, flood alarms, burglar alarms, spider alarms, tiger alarms, vampire alarms, false alarm, and false alarms. So, they also had the little boy fitted with a pair of emergency self-inflicting underpants just in case he fell into the water. They can be operated manually by pulling the cord at the front. Now, you might think emergency self-inflicting underpants are really a crazy idea. They're considering the little boy never left in the apartment. But you would be wrong because, as it turned out, they saved the little boy's life. One night, while everybody was sleeping, a power board overloaded with too much safety device overheated and caught on fire. The little boy, woken by the fire alarm, he got out of bed and ran to the door, but his way was blocked by smoke and flames. He ran to the window, but of course it was locked. So the little boy picked up his safety chair, threw it at the window, and smashed a big hole in it. And then he climbed through the broken window and stood on the ledge of the outside of the building. This was by far the most dangerous situation the little boy had ever been in. Well, actually, it was the only dangerous situation he'd ever been in. He looked down at the ground below, a long way below. He looked back into his bedroom, which was now completely on fire. He knew jumping from the top floor was a very tall apartment tower was an extremely dangerous thing to do. But he knew that staying in a burning apartment was extremely dangerous too. Possibly even more extremely dangerous than jumping from the top floor of a very tall apartment tower. So he jumped. Help! Stop! Shh! Andy! Down, 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 the little boy fell, but he didn't hit the ground. Yikes! He hit a tree, and then bounced off that tree into another tree, and then bounced off that tree and hit another tree. Boing! And then hit 3 more trees. Boing, clunk, slap. Before falling with a big splash into a nearby river. Splosh! But the little boy couldn't swim, but as soon as he hit the water, his emergency self-inflicting underpants activated and away the little boy floated, flew down the river, and eventually far out to sea. Was he alright? Says Terry. Well, as a matter of fact, he was, I say, because I rescued him in a pedal boat. Me? Says Terry. Yes, you were the boy in the story. I was? Oh yeah, now I remember. It was me. Of course, it was me all along. But what were you doing in the pedal boat? Well, that's actually a whole another story, I said. Is it a long story? Kind of. Can we get ice cream first? What a good idea, I say. Let's go visit Edward's scoop hand. This way to the ice cream parlor. Chapter 6, Andy's story. And this will be the end of part 4 of the 26th story, Treehouse. Bye!